Jaipur is often one of the first places people look when they want to manufacture clothing, and it's definitely having a moment right now. In this video, I'm going to guide you through what Jaipur does really well in terms of types of products and sourcing strengths, and also where it's a bit more limited. So by the end of this video, you'll have a much better idea or understanding on how to make the best sourcing decisions based on what you're trying to create in your line. When it comes to fabrics and techniques, Jaipur really stands out in a few key areas, especially sourcing natural, breathable fabrics and unique artisan-based textile techniques. To understand Jaipur, it's helpful to think of it less as a fabric production hub and more of a place where fabric is transformed through design and craftsmanship. So while Jaipur doesn't have a lot of large fabric mills and the base fabrics might come from other parts of India, in Jaipur you can access everything in one place. The base fabric, the dyeing, the printing, embellishment, and final garment production. Jaipur isn't just a place where fabric is made, it's a place where products are developed. And because of this, the quality and consistency can depend a lot on the supplier, manufacturer you're working with. Cotton is probably one of Jaipur's most popular fabrics to source for apparel, mainly lightweight, breathable cottons, such as cotton voile, which is a popular 80s count lightweight cotton cambric, which is slightly heavier than voile. It's a 60s thread count and really popular for dresses and other clothing items. Cotton gauze, which is a super soft, almost sheer cotton that's also popular for apparel. And cotton sateen, which is a little bit heavier with a different weave, and it's popular for more bed sheets and those types of items. So why is Jaipur strong for cotton items? Jaipur produces a lot of lightweight cotton for their own local markets. And since Jaipur's climate is mainly warm and humid, the weather gets extremely hot and humid from, let's say, March, April to August, September. And cottons such as voile and cambric are ideal to wear there for clothing. So they produce a lot of cotton apparel for their local markets, and they know how to do it really well. This makes Jaipur ideal for resort wear, woven loungewear, and cotton-based staples like pants, tops, and dresses. Silk is another natural fabric, and Jaipur is good for sourcing silk, and certain types of silk really stand out there, like silk habitai, chiffon, and georgette. Jaipur and India in general also have some very interesting, beautiful silk blends that are really difficult or almost impossible to recreate or find in the US. So a good thing to understand and note about silk from Jaipur is that the highest quality silks usually come from regions that are deeply tied to silk production, and that is not Jaipur. Those are other regions of India and also China. So Jaipur wouldn't be the best place to source high-end luxury silks, is what I'm saying. It's often more suited for fashion, printed, or blended silks. Jaipur's strength is really in fabric development, dyeing, printing, surface design. It's not so much in producing raw silk or high-end woven silk fabrics from scratch. So along with natural fabrics like cotton and silk, you're also going to see a good amount of semi-synthetic and synthetic fabrics in Jaipur. Things like viscose, rayon, and polyester. So viscose and rayon are plant-based but heavily processed fabrics, while polyester is fully synthetic. And these fabrics are all used pretty widely in the apparel industry because they're affordable, they're more consistent than natural fabrics, and they're easier to scale. These fabrics also take dye and print extremely well, which makes them a strong base for Jaipur's design and surface pattern techniques, like hand block printing, screen printing, etc. So like we just talked about, Jaipur stands out for its unique fabrics, and you can find lots of different types of fabrics in Jaipur. But where they really stand out is their fabric techniques and surface pattern designs. This is built on generations of artisan craftsmanship. And some examples are hand block printing, which of course is very trendy right now. And there's a lot of screen printing happening there too. And a funny thing is happening now where the block printing aesthetic is so popular that certain brands are using screen prints to look like block prints, but they're actually not block prints. They're just doing the look on screen print and they're selling them for a lot cheaper. And this is really difficult to spot if you don't have sort of a trained eye on what block printing looks like. But they will make the motifs deliberately off center to make it look like it's block printed when it's actually screen printed. And screen printing is great. It's not the same as block printing. It's usually still done by hand. It's not the same tradition as hand block printed. I mean, block printing is printed by hand and it's done by artisans, and it's really a very old craft that the artisans need to be trained in. And of course, block printing gives the fabric this unique, beautiful feel where every motif is slightly different and there's like little drips of fabric, and it just gives it a very beautiful feel. But there's nothing wrong with screen printing, and it can be used to make some really beautiful designs as well. There's also another fabric technique called mud resist printing. And this is when artisans use like a clay paste to block sections of the fabrics before dyeing. And these block sections can be left without color or then printed over. And mud resist printing is also very hands-on. It's an artisan technique and is done manually. I think it's important to talk about these different fabric techniques that Jaipur is really strong in, because it's really hard to find these techniques outside of Jaipur or in other parts of Asia. It's not to say that you can't find them in other parts of India, but due to Jaipur's sort of infrastructure, its climate, and its generational artisan history, it's really the hub for all of these amazing, beautiful fabric techniques that are very artisan-centric. Jaipur also tends to have smaller family-owned factories and lower minimum order quantities compared to other parts of India and Asia, which adds to its appeal for sourcing and manufacturing. Another area where Jaipur really stands out is in its embellishment and handicraft techniques, which is really just applying design onto fabric in unique and creative ways. So in this context, the word handicraft refers more to things like embroidery, beading, mirror work, and other forms of embellishment where there's a physical sort of dimensional element to the fabric. Jaipur has a strong network of artisans that specialize in these techniques, so you can achieve a really high level of detail without needing large minimums. And this specialization in handicrafts and embellishment is really something you see and understand when you're actually there sourcing and when you visit Jaipur. You'll see that it's such a local, strong ecosystem of designers and artisans, small brands, retail stores, and you're consistently seeing how these fabrics and techniques are actually being used in real products throughout the local market. It's a really inspiring place to visit, and I always recommend, if you ever have the chance to visit, please do. It's such a beautiful city. So let's talk for a minute about what Jaipur doesn't do as well. So like any other sourcing region, Jaipur has its strengths, but also isn't the right fit for everything. So what it doesn't do well is highly technical or performance fabrics. Jaipur just is not set up for technical and performance fabrics like activewear, waterproof materials, or heavily engineered textiles. They also don't do like highly structured or tailored garments well. It's not the strongest place to source and manufacture if you want structured and tailored pieces like sharp suiting or heavily constructed garments. Jaipur also doesn't do ultra high-end fabric qualities that well. So as we talked a little bit about before, if your product depends heavily on the quality of your base fabric, like very high-end silks, for instance, you might want to source closer to where those fabrics are actually being produced, like other parts of India or even outside of India, like China or Thailand. Jaipur, again, has a lot of different fabric varieties, but super high-end fabrics isn't what they're the greatest at. And lastly, Jaipur is not great for knit heavy or technical cut and sew. So while you still can source knits and produce knits in Jaipur, I wouldn't recommend it being the first place you go to manufacture knits. For knits and more complex cut and sew items, you want to probably typically look at other parts of India, such as southern India, like Tirupur, and other regions that just specialize in that type of fabric and production. Jaipur really excels in woven, design-driven products. Just to wrap this up, let's talk about who Jaipur is probably the best fit for. Number one, it's a great fit for design-driven brands. Jaipur is great for brands where the design is led by the fabric, the print, the color, the texture, and the detail. Number two, resort, lifestyle, and casual categories. Sourcing in Jaipur works extremely well for categories like resort wear, dresses, tops, and relaxed everyday pieces. Anything that falls into the category of lightweight, breathable fabrics, Jaipur could be a great place to source and manufacture. Next, brands that value craft and detail. If your brand incorporates embroidery, embellishment, and a more handcrafted feel, Jaipur is going to give you access to those techniques in a creative, unique, inspiring way for your line. Number four, smaller brands or flexible production needs. Jaipur is a great option for brands that need flexibility, whether that's lower minimums, more hands-on development, or the ability to sample and test designs. Like I said before, they have small factories. A lot of them are family owned. They're small businesses, just like our small clothing brands. So partnering from one small business, let's say in the US, to a manufacturer in Jaipur that's a small business as well, just makes sense for both parties' needs, basically, in the business transaction. And lastly, Jaipur is great for brands comfortable working with some level of variation, because that's often the part of working with natural materials and artisan or handmade processes. Okay, so I hope this helped you decide if Jaipur is a place you might want to source for your clothing line. And I encourage you to visit Jaipur if you can. It's such a beautiful, vibrant city with amazing people, history, food, and great shopping. I love it so much, and I hope you all get there one day. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you source in Jaipur or plan to, and I'll see you in the next video.